Hello everyone. So I am going to explain about programming in Java. This course I have taken from Swayam and Nptel. It is a free platform. If you want to learn, there are multiple courses available in this website. But if you want to get the certificate, you need to enroll for the exam. Then only you'll get the certificate. Here, the course I have taken is programming in Java. This is a 12-week course and it is starting from 21st July 2025. Here the registration ends at 28th July 2025, and if you want to write the exam to get the certificate, the last date for exam registration is 15th August 2025. So exam date may be vary, but here the accurate date is given as 25th October 2025. Okay, so if you want to learn it for free without certificate, you can enroll and learn, but to get the certificate you need to write the exam. I hope it is clear. So I have prepared this content from this website only. If you want to learn it from website, you can go and learn it. Okay, both the contents are same, but the way explanation is different. Here the content is explained by the Professor Devasis Samantha, who is working at IIT Kharagpur. Okay, so in this course total 60 lectures are there. So these 60 lectures are planned in weeks. Total we have 12 weeks. So at the end of this course, we may have a mini project. Here we will get coding examples, some of the quizzes they'll ask, we need to answer. So before going to about this Java programming language, first we need to go about this history, right? It is started in 1991 by the Green team, who is working at a Sun Microsystem. The main developers of developing this Java programming language is James Gosling, Michael Sheridan, Patrick Norton. James Gosling is also called as the father of Java. He is the main role for developing this programming language. So before the Java, the original name of this programming language is Green Talk and Oak. Later it is named as Java. So finally the official name of Java is renamed in 1995. So to run our Java programming language, we need a JDK, Java Development Kit, in our system, which is released in 1996. So the major features of this programming language is it is very simple and we can easy to learn. It is a platform independent programming language, which is nothing but our code, whatever we have written, is running on any operating system because of the JVM. JVM is nothing but Java Virtual Machine, which is a part of JDK. Okay, so why it is platform independent means the code of Java will run on any operating system, whether it may be Windows or Linux or any operating system. But when it comes to the platform dependent, the platform independent code won't work on any operating system. It will work for only particular operating system. Means if you write the code for a Windows, it does not run on Linux or Mac. It will only work for Windows. I hope it is clear. But when it comes to the Java, it will run on any operating system. That is the meaning of platform independent. And secure, robust and high performance. It is a very secure programming language and it has a strong feature. It is an object oriented programming language. When you compare with the C is a function oriented, procedure oriented, but Java is completely an object oriented programming language. Everything is related with an objects. Objects are nothing but real words, entities. It is completely related with a real world entity. It is an object oriented programming language. Later on we'll get to know about this object oriented programming language. Here at present, remember this, it is an object oriented programming language. It is related to the real world entities. Supports multi-threading. Multi-threading means, so you write in 100 lines of code, it may take 100 seconds, but if you divide that 100 lines of code into two parts, 50 and 50, if you execute these 50 lines parallelly, Then what happens here, 50 lines of code, when you execute together two parts, it takes only 50 seconds. If you want to divide this 100 lines of code, you are executing from 1 to 100. How much time does it take? 100 seconds. Here what happens when you divide it into two parts, that is nothing but you are reducing the response time. Okay, you are increasing the performance. That is nothing but multi-threading. We use this multi-threading concept to reduce the response time. Okay, we'll get the output with fast and accurate. Distributed and dynamic. We have a dynamic feature, like we can change our input, we can give input at runtime, we can get output for different inputs. Portable and architecture neutral. So here the portable means we can share our code to any another system. That is nothing but a portable feature. Architecture neutral means we have an architecture neutral. Suppose if you take a data type size, like suppose if you want to store a value of 10 to the variable a, right? So here you need to allocate a type of data that is an integer. Here the 10 is an integer, you need to use the data type int, right? So here the int data type size is 4 byte, which is fixed. It does not vary to the architecture. Like if you may use 32-bit processor or 64-bit processor, any processor you may use, but the size of this data types are fixed, which not vary from the processor to processor. That is the meaning of architecture neutral. I hope it is clear about the features of Java, right? It is very simple. Platform independent means we can run our Java code on any operating system. It may be Linux or OS or Windows or Mac. Secure, robust, high performance. It is very secure programming language because it follows the two-step process here. We'll compile and run our Java code. So here when we compile the Java code, what happens here, internally we have a bytecode verifier. So again it will verify our Java code whether it may be a legal code or illegal code occurred. Okay, that's why it is a secure programming language. So now object oriented means everything is related with the objects, real world entities. We can solve a real world problem. Supports multi-threading means to increase the response time. So within less time we can get the output. To reduce the time, execution time, we use this multi-threading concept. How does it works? We use the threading concept, like we create a thread. Here thread is nothing but a part. We are dividing the program 100 lines of code into two parts. Here each part is called as a thread. One thread executes, if multiple threads are executing means there are multiple parts of the program. All threads are related to that program only. Okay. Distributed and dynamic, portable and architecture neutral. So I hope portable means we can share our code to any other operating system. Architecture neutral means the data type size will not vary from processor to processor, whether it may be 32-bit or 64-bit or any processor. Okay, why it is very popular? Because it has a user for web applications, Android development, enterprise, networking, various. There are multiple applications where we can use this Java programming language. Okay, it is completely based on object oriented. It is a total completely related to the class and objects. It has a strong memory management. Okay, so you know that first generation low level language is nothing but a machine language which is in the form of zeros and ones. So assembly language is in the form of symbols like move, add, sub. It is like English language with sub keywords like add, sub, mul, divide. These are the symbols which we use to in assembly language. When it comes to the high level language, whatever the programming language we are learning like Java, C++, Python to communicate with the software, these are the languages are called as high level languages. So here SQL comes under very high level language. You know the difference between compiler and interpreter? Is compiler runs entire code, whole program at once. But when it comes to the interpreter, it will execute line by line. Suppose if you have written 100 lines of code, compiler will check 100 lines of code at a time. If you get error at 100 line, if you get error at the first line, if you get error at 50th line, it will show at a time these three errors when it comes to the compiler. But what happens with the interpreter? If you get an error at first line, it will show that error only. It will not show remaining 50th line and 100th line errors. When does it show? After clearing that first line error only, it will move to the next line to execute. Otherwise, it will not move to the next line, it will not execute. Okay, but compiler checks the entire code, but interpreter does not it. It will execute line by line. If you get an error at first line itself, it does not execute remaining 99 lines. So this happens here with an interpreter. When it comes to the compiler, it will be a little bit slow because it has to check one by one. It takes much time to find the errors because after clearing the first line, at 50th line we need to check again at 100th line. So I hope you got the difference between compiler and interpreter. Okay, so programming approaches: functional programming and object-oriented programming. Functional programming is always focuses on functions. Object-oriented programming is always focuses on objects. Here functional programming example, if you take C, it is totally a procedure oriented. It totally depends on the functions. Here the functions data is available to global. There is data security here. Okay, it follows the top-down approach. Object-oriented programming is encapsulated. We can hide the data. We can use data hiding feature here. Okay, so when it comes to the Java, it is an object-oriented programming. It is encapsulated with the data hiding feature. So what are the features of OOPS? So we have an encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism. All these comes under the features of OOPS. So OOPS is nothing but object-oriented programming language. It is totally related with an objects which are real-world entities, real-world objects. We'll write the code for the real-world objects only here. Okay, what is a class? I'll tell with an example. So encapsulation means we'll mix data and methods inside a class. Like if you take an example of a class name student, and the student have name, ID, like address, everything. All these are the details of the student. Okay, details comes under variables or attributes. Okay, and action of the student, like he is writing or recording, or what does it do, what does the student is doing, whether he is writing or reading or explaining or studying or giving seminar, the work, the method you need to mention. Okay, you are mixing a student details with the name and his work. So to represent name and roll number, we use attributes. To represent his work, we use methods. Here we are combining attributes and methods together in a single class to represent a single student. Okay, this concept is nothing but an encapsulation. Here it is an example of book. The book may have, when you take a book class, if you take a book from the library, the book class may be issued or you are returning that book, you are getting that book. There are the two methods, whether to give or whether to return. These are related to that book class. Okay, these are the methods of that book. Here attributes comes under book name, book reference, book author, book edition. All this comes under attributes. These attributes, and you are mixing with the methods like whether the book is giving or return. Okay, this is an example of an encapsulation. Combining the attributes and the methods together in a single class is nothing but encapsulation. Next, inheritance. Inheritance is nothing but when you take an example of class or a real-time example, like our parents is a generation, our grandfathers is another generation, grandfather next generation is parents next generation is our child next generation may be our kids. There are 4 generations: grandfather, father, child and kids. Okay, so what happens here, when any property grandfather have, from grandfather who will consider it, who will take it, father. From father who will take it, child. From child will access it. In the same way, here if you write some code in one class, you can get that code to another class using this inheritance concept without rewriting. Suppose a large house is built by grandfather. Why do we need to build that house, build another house? Because a large houses we have already, right? What we do, we'll buy some another thing like car or bike or anything we buy instead of building a new house, because it is already constructed, we have already. So why do we need to build a house when we have it, right? Because grandfather give it to father, father give it to child, child will give it to kid. If you want to do some changes, you can do it, but no need to build a new house, right? Because it is already constructed. In the same way, when you have written some code in one class, you want to reuse it again, that code, we can get that code to another class, like grandfather to father, how we are accessing. In the same way, we can get the code from one class to another class using this inheritance concept. Okay, what happens with this inheritance concept is reusability of the code, reducing the length of the code. Yes, no, you already written 100 lines of code in one class. Without rewriting this 100 lines of code, what happens? You are just reusing it. You are just accessing that 100 lines of code using inheritance concept. What happens here when you reuse it? You are reducing the time and you are reducing the 100 lines of code, length of the code. That is the concept of inheritance. So we can hide the information by using the keywords like private and protected. These are the keywords which is provided by the Java, which prevents direct access of the sensitive data. If you want to maintain some sensitive data from some private data, we can maintain that using these keywords like private and protected. This is called as a data hiding. Next, polymorphism. Polymorphism is nothing but performing a task in a multiple ways, different ways. Like if you take an example, when you give a task to the students to draw a shape, what happens here? You just give an indication that draw a shape. So different students, different mindsets. One may draw circle, one may draw circle, one may draw square. Here the task is to draw a shape, but you didn't mention that which shape they need to draw. Like based on their mindset, they'll draw the shape. Okay? Task is drawing a shape, but implementation of the work is different. Different people will implement in different ways. Is okay. We can draw a shape in multiple ways, using circle, using scale. Okay. In the same way, if you want to perform a task, a work, then we can do it in a different ways based on interest. We can write such kind of code here using this polymorphism. It provides that behavior. using the same method but with the different attributes. Like if you want to do some addition, like you can add two strings, two words, you can add two numbers. So to perform addition between the two numbers, you need to use integers. To perform between the two strings, you need to use strings. Okay, so here operation is same, addition, but operation is you are performing on two different ways. One is on strings, one is on numbers. I hope it is clear about this polymorphism. Next, Java programming areas. So like you have a core Java, Java applets, and Java for web and networking. So core Java comes under threads, IO packages and exceptions, and building a software. Applets, GUI programming, multimedia graphics swing. Java for web and networking comes under distributed systems, JDBC and JSP. Java server page. So finally, the summary of this class is Java is invented by the James Gosling in the year 1991. The first version of Java is released in 1996. Official name of Java is came in 1995. Before Java, the name is Oak. Later, it is named as Java in 1995. Okay, who developed this Java programming language? Green Team. In which year the Java programming language is released? In 1995. It is started in 1991. Officially, it is released in 1995. The first version of JDK, Java Development Kit, is released in 1996. Who developed this Java programming language? James Gosling. The team of Java programming language is called as a Green Team, who worked in Sun Microsystem. Okay, the key features, what are the major features of the Java? Platform independent means we can run our code on any operating system. Multi-threading means dividing the program into multiple parts as threads, running those threads together to reduce a response, to reduce the response execution time, to save the time. And architecture neutral means whether the data size may not vary from operating system to operating system. If you take an example of an integer, the size of int is 4 bytes, which is fixed for 32-bit processor, or whether you are using a 64-bit processor. Portable means we can share our Java code to any operating system. It is very popular, which is there are many applications of Java, like web application, enterprise application, desktop applications. It is an object-oriented programming language, and it follows a compiler and interpreter. We use both compiler and interpreter here. You know the difference between compiler and interpreter, right? Compiler checks entire code, interpreter checks execute line by line. What happens with compiler? When you get an error in first line, last line, you will get all errors at a time. It will display on the screen. But when it comes to the interpreter, it will display one by one. After clearing that error only, it will display the next error. That is the difference between interpreter and compiler. Okay, what are the features of OOPS? We have encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, data hiding. Everything is in OOPS. You know, encapsulation, combining the data and the methods together in a single unit, in a single class, called as an encapsulation. Inheritance means getting the properties, getting the data from one class to another class. That is nothing but an inheritance. What is the advantage of this inheritance? Code reusability. Information hiding. If you want to maintain some private data, we use this information hiding concept by using private and protected keywords. Polymorphism means when you have a same method but with a different implementation, then we can use this polymorphism concept to achieve that. Okay, so these are the features and applications of Java. I hope it is clear. Next class we will discuss about the JVM. Okay, thank you everyone.